Why won't he define the relationship? Do understand that narcissists are not just he, not just male, but female also. And therefore, whilst I refer to he, this is just as applicable to she. You are seeing somebody. You spend a lot of time together. You go to dinner. You stay over at one another's houses intermittently. Have a long weekend together. Exercise together, play sport. You're having sex. You go to the cinema. You hang out watching films on Netflix together. You might even have met this person's friends and family, and you might even have introduced them to yours. Anybody looking at the relationship as described would suggest that you are boyfriend and girlfriend. But he never refers to you as his girlfriend. Not once has he ever said that you are my girlfriend or meet my girlfriend. It's always meet Pamela. You are referred to by name. And yes, he has quaint affectations for you. He has given you a nickname, but he never refers to you as girlfriend. You know from checking his social media and also seeing the notifications that appear on his phone that there are interactions with other women. And yet, when you ask him about, so who's this and why were you liking her Facebook posts and why are you getting messages from Annabelle, you are told, oh, don't worry about that. They're just friends. And anyway, you shouldn't be getting yourself worked up about it. It's not as if we're an item anyway. This leaves you confused. Not an item. Then what are you? You're doing his laundry from time to time. He's bought you gifts. He takes you out for dinner. You go for long, rambling walks together. You talk about your hopes and your fears. You have similar interests, similar senses of humour. You've shared details about previous relationships. So, how are you not an item? How are you not together? Why does he continue not to afford you the label of girlfriend? This leaves you confused, bewildered, hurt, and uncertain. There are occasions where you cannot get hold of him. And you ask, eventually, what he's been doing, and that why his phone was switched off, or why it rang and he didn't answer. And you're met with, oh, I was just doing my own thing, I was down the gym. Or, we're not joined at the hip, you know, I can do things on my own. You feel unsettled by these remarks. Why won't he say what he was actually doing? You suspect that he wasn't. You might also have caught him out in a lie. He said he was at the gym, but you noticed that there was updates on his Facebook showing that he was down at a bar with his friends. Why didn't he just answer the phone and speak to you? Why didn't he send a text message? You know that you're not that demanding. You just wanted a quick chat. You'd not spoken through the course of the day, and ordinarily you speak every day. You then start to feel guilty for asking, and, typically as the empath, you engage in the self-flagellation. Perhaps you're prying. Maybe he just wants a bit of privacy. Maybe you're being unfair. Are you being unfair? Are you being intrusive? But wait, hang on a moment. He behaves as if you're boyfriend and girlfriend when you're together. Indeed. Your friends have all remarked about how great it is that you're in a relationship with this person. And in all other respects other than label, you would say that you are boyfriend and girlfriend. He talks about a future together. He even indirectly talked about moving in together and marriage. He can be absolutely wonderful, thrilling, passionate, thoughtful and interesting. He flatters and compliments. He's been supportive when you were upset about your dog being ill. Yet he never ever clarifies what you and he are. He won't give you that security of knowing that you are an item together, boyfriend and girlfriend. But why? You pluck up courage and ask for clarification, but he brushes it aside, always deflecting your query. Let's not get hung up on labels, he explains with a smile, and then gives you a hug and changes the subject. Do we have to put what we are in a box? It feels so constraining, he remarks. Why can't we just enjoy it for what it is? He says, with that 1,000,000 megawatt smile of his. Well, you would enjoy it if you knew what the dickens it was. What is going on? Why will he not classify the relationship? If you have found yourself in such a situation which is similar to that which I've described, you're dealing with a narcissist. Why? The individual is exhibiting a sense of entitlement to do whatever he wants. Sure, he spends plenty of time with you because it suits him, but then he'll go off and disappear and is often uncontactable. He does what he wants, when he chooses, with whomsoever he selects, and at a time and place at his dictation. He's also exhibiting a lack of accountability towards you. He gives you the impression of being in a relationship, but then doesn't fulfill that impression. Certainly, he delivers on certain aspects of it, but there are many aspects of it where he does not, because he leaves you guessing, uncertain. He does not allow you the security of being in a relationship with the appropriate label as such. Even when you press him politely for confirmation to secure some accountability, he evades it, deflecting, denying, changing the subject, sometimes ignoring you and walking away. He's also exhibiting a lack of emotional empathy. By failing to clarify his behaviours, by failing to demonstrate a commitment to you, he is demonstrating that he has no interest in how it actually impacts upon you. He simply doesn't care, and that is because he has no emotional empathy for you. Of course, you are taken in by his thoughtful behaviours, the supposed support, the kindness, the flattery, the great sex, but all of that is just a coating. If he had emotional empathy, he would introduce you as a girlfriend. He would refer to you as such. He would answer your questions without deflection or denial. He would explain. Indeed, if he had emotional empathy, he would not be subjecting you to this uncertainty to begin with, so that you wouldn't even need to ask. And if you did, he would say, "Oh, yes, you are, of course you're my girlfriend. I guess I've just not used it." And he would thereafter correct the mistake, if on the off chance he's just somebody who is somewhat absent-minded in that regard. But I repeat, somebody with emotional empathy would not be treating you in this manner to begin with. There's a degree of grandiosity. You can just assume that he can treat you like this and that you will tolerate it. And it's manipulative. He is keeping you dangling. What he is doing, and most likely he's doing this unaware as a lesser or mid-range narcissist, he is continuing to control you, although he doesn't realise that's what he's doing. He's controlling you by the manipulations of flattery, sex, bribery, false compassion. But at the same time, he's controlling you by never being accountable to you, so that you have no ability to control him. Because, even though you don't want to control him, the possibility of attaching a label and attaining the status of you and him being boyfriend and girlfriend threatens his sense of control, because to him, from the narcissistic perspective, in his unconscious, it is as if you are controlling him. You are being manipulated. And many people who find themselves in this situation fail to realise that is what is actually happening. They end up confused. He acts as if we're boyfriend and girlfriend for the most part, but then does certain things which causes me to question it, and he makes me feel uncertain and unsure. Somebody with emotional empathy, a non-narcissist, wouldn't do this to you. Why is he then behaving in this manner towards you? Well, it is simple. It is all about the achievement of the prime aims, because he's a narcissist, and primarily control and fuel. With regard to control, he has to assert control over you. And what he is doing is he is giving you lots of the good stuff, but without sealing the deal and making you the intimate partner primary source. He's keeping you in a position of an intimate partner secondary source of a shelf variety, even candidate intimate partner secondary source. His narcissism is not concerned that this dangling of the status of girlfriend in front of you but never giving it to you will cause you to walk away. His narcissism feels that you are so under control that he doesn't need to take that step, and also for other reasons, which I will explain to you in a moment. The narcissism is keeping you amongst the shifting sands, keeping you uncertain, and that uncertainty actually keeps you under control. That you are always wanting the promised land of being referred to as the girlfriend. That you're fearful of giving up because, to a large extent, everything is pretty good. You just have these moments of uncertainty when he disappears and when you see the interactions with other women. But other than that, he doesn't call you bad names. He doesn't shout at you, doesn't beat you up. You've not got any direct evidence of him cheating. And of course, all of that is a failure to recognise what is actually going on. A combination of not understanding narcissism and the obscuring effects of emotional thinking. Rather than realising, wait, this individual is not referring to me as the girlfriend, he's interacting with other people, he's showing a sense of entitlement, a lack of accountability, his behaviour is manipulative, I'm not tolerating this anymore, and I'm ending it. That just does not happen. You do not do that because you don't actually know what you're dealing with. Many people who are in this scenario that I have described don't realise they're dealing with a narcissist. They fall for comments such as, he's a commitment phobe. That is actually a narcissist. They fall for descriptions, maybe he just isn't into you. That again is describing a narcissist. Somebody who spends so much time with you and does all of those things which are pleasant, interesting, delightful and fun ought to give you the status of girlfriend, ought not to be engaging with other women and just dismissing it as, oh, they're just friends, ought not to disappear without some degree of accountability. It's not as if you are against him spending time elsewhere, far from it. You know that he has his own life to lead, his own friends, times he'll want to see his family, his job to do, hobbies, exercise. You have no issue with that. But it is the manner in which he suddenly becomes so secretive, the way that he just disappears off the radar, and then you are made to feel bad when you query it. You are made to feel guilty, which of course is all part of the way that we manipulate you, and is a consequence of your emotional thinking corrupting your empathic trait of honesty to make you feel bad. The narcissist does this to control you, to keep you in that position, as I say, of shifting sands, striving for the promised land, too fearful of giving it up because it's not really that bad. But if you were looking at this logically, with an understanding of narcissism and free from the corrupting influences of emotional thinking, you would see it for what it was. The behaviour of an individual who has no emotional empathy for you, is manipulating you, controlling you, and in short, messing you around. And you deserve far better. But so many people are unable to see that because they have no access to this information, and their emotional thinking causes them to think, well, it's not that bad. Maybe he just doesn't like using labels. I won't push it. But yet, it's upsetting you. It's making you feel a reduction in your self-worth. Therefore, why tolerate it? But you do, because that's what you do as empaths. Driven by your addiction and the emotional thinking, you tolerate this behaviour. And because you don't realise that it's narcissism, you think it's something else. And as mentioned, you fall prey to these stupid descriptions of commitment phobe, and he's just not that into you. The second reason why the narcissist does this beyond controlling you, it's also to control others. He is in effect hedging his bets. Whilst he might spend a lot of his time with you, you are not the intimate partner primary source. And that means that until you are, and you may never get there, he, with his rampant sense of entitlement, lack of accountability, and lack of emotional empathy, will engage with other people, cultivating contenders and rivals. They may not interact with anywhere near as much as he does with you, but there will be at least one other intimate partner secondary source that is being cultivated, and they may overtake you. You may suddenly find that you're not spending as much time with him, that he's going missing more often, and that is because his time is going to somebody else. And the whole point of not giving you a label, not parading you in any way as the girlfriend, not introducing you as such, is to enable him to control other people that he is interacting with, so that if they notice comments from you, he will say, "Oh, her, she is just a friend." The same words that he uses about those other people to you, he will be using about you. These are the individuals where it's complicated. It's a complex situation. We're kind of seeing one another, but it's nothing formal. The narcissist instinctively makes it murky, amorphous, lacking clarification, because then that enables the narcissist to say, "I never said we were in a relationship. How can you accuse me of being unfaithful to you when we weren't boyfriend and girlfriend?" But of course, the narcissist gave you the impression that that's what you were, and you acted accordingly. You were faithful. You were committed, but it was not reciprocated, because the narcissist will never do so. Where you are involved with an individual who does not allow you to understand the status of your relationship, repeatedly deflects from discussions about it, gives the impression of it being a committed and monogamous relationship, but does things which undermine that, you're dealing with a narcissist. And the reason that the narcissist does this is, in essence, so we can have our cake and eat it. We are able to control you without having to go all the way for a full commitment, because our narcissism is not yet convinced that you should be the intimate partner primary source, and we're drawing heavily on you as an intimate partner secondary source of a shelf variety, but we're also keeping our options open, just in case there is something better out there. And at the same time, by keeping those options open, we can say to the other options, no, we're not in a relationship, because in our minds, we are not, even though we have given you the clear impression that you are. When you find yourself in a situation where the individual will not define the relationship, you are dealing with a narcissist, and it is being done to extract fuel from you and to control you, and to do the same to other people, because you are all competing against one another within the narcissist's fuel matrix.